All right, guys, as the title says, we're going to talk a little bit about locality breeders and are they arrogant? Are they the snobs of the hobby, if you will? And I guess I'll cut to the chase and give you my opinion, and I don't think they are. A lot of the people that I've met in this hobby, a lot of good friends that I've made are locality boa breeders and keepers. And in my opinion, if you find a reputable locality breeder, they're some of the most honest, genuine people you'll find in the whole hobby. Uh, and I think a lot of that goes to the very nature of what it is that they're keeping. Honesty, and you'll find people that try to cut corners. You'll find people that are trying to make a quick buck, but long established locality keepers and breeders have shown a discipline over time that you don't find in a lot of other areas of the reptile community, in my opinion. There's a lot of discipline that goes into this. There's a lot of, there's animals that there might be a specific locality animal that you want to acquire, and the only one that you can find maybe doesn't have the history or doesn't have the documentation that you require for your collection. And you have to say no to that animal, and that hurts. You really want it. You really want to be able to say you have it. You want to be able to post on social media, look what I got, and or you just want it for your own collection, and that's fantastic. That's probably the best reason to want it. But you have to say no to that animal because it doesn't have the documentation, or it doesn't have the history, or you can't trace it back. And so that's a lot of discipline that goes into establishing and starting up a big collection, or not even a big collection, any size collection. And so you take a lot of pride. Locality keepers and breeders take a lot of pride in their collections. They take a lot of pride in the animals that they're representing, to accurately represent them. And I think that, along with the kind of intellectual nature of locality breeders, I don't know if it kind of paints a picture of the type personality that you're dealing with. A lot of these locality breeders are fascinated with their homeland, these animals' homeland. Where they come from. They study ocean currents, and they study topography, and they study seasonality and elevation, and all different aspects of where these animals came from. A lot of keepers are very science based, very interested in that part of the hobby, and that all of those things, accumulate into the value, not the monetary value, but just the value of the animal in their collection. And so when somebody's put all that effort into something that they're keeping, and they've established this big collection, or any size collection, they've established a collection of reputable locality animals, and maybe they've produced with them, and now they have offspring to sell, or to offer up. I think that they are rightfully so a little bit selective and a little bit touchy about how they're approached for those animals. This kind of goes along with what I've been experiencing here lately. This time of year, I have a lot of babies that are available, and I get a lot of inquiries on different social media platforms, and I think that a lot of people misunderstand where these breeders are coming from because of the response that they get to different messages or inquiries that they make. And I want to share with you guys a couple here that I've screenshotted just to kind of give you an idea. I've worked almost a decade now establishing my collection, raising these animals, caring for them, learning how to breed them, learning how to reproduce with them, the anticipation of waiting on a litter, and was it successful, was it not successful? There's a lot of time and a lot of effort. There's feed bills, and we could go on and on. You get the point. That goes into this, and then my phone goes off, I open up Messenger and I see, how much is your baby Boas? That's the first. I've never interacted with this person before in my life. It's not hello, how are you doing? Or hello. I mean, I don't even care if you care how I'm doing. Just a hello, introduce yourself, let me know what you're looking for. Hello, my name is Bob Joe, and I saw your Facebook page and I noticed that you work with this, and I've been trying to find, something. Give me a little history. If you're not willing to put the effort into our very first interaction, how much effort are you going to put into the animal that I send you? That's from my point of view. I'm trying to give you guys a look into the mindset of the breeder or the person that's offering these animals up. I care about these animals. I care about where they go. I've put a lot of work into producing them. I take a lot of pride in the collection and the offspring, and I care where they go. So when you message me and you say, how much is your baby Boas? I think, okay, you put zero effort into that introduction. You put zero effort into introducing yourself, saying hello, hello, good afternoon, something, I'm interested in this, that, or the other, just something. You put zero effort into that. And if you can't put effort into that, how much effort are you going to put into something that I send you? So that was one. I saw one that says, where are y'all located? That's the first interaction. Just message me and says, where are y'all located? And I'm going to go a little bit deeper on that particular message. I ended up talking to that guy because I'm kind of a sucker, and turns out to be a decent guy. He seems like a nice guy, but I'm going to explain to you guys where that conversation went. He later on in the conversation said that he's had nothing but negative interactions with people that he's inquired about. He's asked about getting adult animals to breed. And people said you need to buy babies and start them over, and that he had a very negative experience in the locality side of boa keeping. So, and something that I guess I can go ahead and address as far as that goes is, I just explained to you guys the effort and the time that it's taken, and the studying and the history and the temperature fluctuations and creating an environment and all these things that go into producing these babies. And so often people want to just almost jump to the front of the line. They're like, do you have any adults available? I just want to produce a litter. The ultimate goal of this person is to produce a litter of babies for whatever reason. I'm not going to assume that it's monetary. I don't know. For whatever reason, the ultimate goal is to produce a litter of babies. And I think that the ultimate goal needs to be keeping and enjoying these animals. And production is a byproduct of keeping and enjoying these animals. So when you send me a message like that and you say, how much is your Boas? I'm going to come off kind of probably like a jerk, or a lot of people are going to come off kind of like a jerk. I can speak for myself, and I'm sure that other people will relate, that we get lots of messages daily about lots of different animals, and it takes an incredible amount of time. People ask for more pictures. I post something on Morph Market, and it's a beautiful picture of the whole body, the tail, the head, everything. And they say, can you send me more pictures? 99.9% of people that ask for more pictures never buy a boa. And that's just a fact. Anybody that breeds boas and sells boas can tell you that most people that ask for more pictures are not going to purchase a boa. And so, and really, that's not really the entire picture. I do enjoy educating people and teaching, showing people different things. And a lot of people don't know that boas come in such a different variety of colors and patterns and sizes. And so I enjoy working with people and introducing them to those different things. But I also have a life outside of this, and I work, and I have a collection to maintain, and I have my own hobbies and things to do. And so when I spend, an hour with you trying to show you all these different pictures, and you have pictures of the tail and pictures of this, and then at the end of the day, you're just kicking tires. If I do that 4 or 5 times a day, I've wasted 4 or 5 hours of my day, on something that didn't produce anything. I'm not even talking about you buying a boa from me. I'm just talking about, it just fades off into the mist somewhere. So I think that I say all that to say that how you approach a breeder, or how you approach a keeper, how you conduct yourself through these different social media platforms will greatly influence the response that you get from these people. I was fortunate that when I started off in the hobby, I like to think that I'm fairly well spoken, I'm polite, I'm considerate, and I befriended a lot of established people that were able to guide me in the right direction, and I purchased animals from them. I definitely, it's not about the money to me, but if you purchase an animal from me, we have now started a relationship together. And if that's as far as you want the relationship to go, then that's fine. But a lot of times people will come back and they'll say, hey, how do I get, how should I keep this, or how should I keep that, or how do you do this? Or a lot of times people's ultimate goal is breeding boas, and I'm happy to go along with them in that journey and help guide them. But when you send me a message that's that thoughtless, is that somebody that I want to start any kind of a journey? God forbid you had a problem with one of the animals that I sent you, it won't feed or whatever. Now I've got to deal with somebody that's already that inconsiderate from the front end. Now I have to deal with them, and whatever that looks like, who knows? So hopefully this video was helpful. Hopefully, I honestly didn't mean to come off condescending or anything. I hope I didn't. I'm just trying to give you guys an insight into what goes on establishing and creating a collection of these animals, and hopefully some of the mindset of the keepers that are producing them. A lot of these guys are some of the most genuine guys. They're really good people, especially established, reputable breeders. They'll do anything in the world for you. But it's just a certain kind of temperament, certain kind of personality that goes along with that. Very science-based, very intellectual. And when you come at them with something like, hey, how much is your boas? They're like, well, I put a lot of time and effort into this, and you have just belittled all of my efforts. So something to consider when you're interacting with people is sometimes just a good afternoon, goes a long way. So hopefully that helps you guys out. Hopefully you liked the video. And if you did, subscribe to it. I think I have like 8 subscribers at this point, so you can share it, you can subscribe to the channel, and I think my next video is going to be on actually purchasing the animals. What was my next video going to be on? I don't know if that's what it is. I don't know. My next video is going to be on what it turns out to be, because like I said before, don't really know what I'm doing here. So stay tuned. It'll be a surprise to you. It'll be a surprise to me. It'll be a surprise to both of us. Have a good day. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you next time.